Excuse me, is anyone here from OAN? Okay. Who are you with? Are you? Here, I have an idea that I'd like to give to you. It's an idea to have President Trump hang a copy of the Constitution on the wall of the Oval Office. I've been sending it out for over a year and a half. I sent it to Megyn Kelly, Chris Wallace, CNN. Of course, no one asked my simple question.
Hey, everybody, if you would please just start moving towards the center, and we'll start here momentarily. Thank you very much.
It's time for Washington, D.C. to keep those promises they made to us last year. I don't know about you, but today I'm feeling a good bit of disdain for John McCain. What about you? We're going to get started in just a moment, but, well, actually, I guess we're going to get started right now. We're going to start off with Gregory Britton, who is from the Redlands Tea Party in California. He's going to give our invocation, so we're going to start with that.
When the Constitutional Convention was at impasse, Benjamin Franklin said to the fellow delegates, "The longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of the truth that God governs the affairs of man. And if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid?" He urged the convention to begin each day's session with a prayer. They did, and we know the results. So, as we seek to restore and save our country, let us begin with a prayer. Dear Lord, we will start with gratitude for our lives, for the material abundance that we have, that even the poorest among us are better off than most of the people in the world. We are grateful for most of us have good health, and for those that do not, we pray for their quick recovery. We are grateful to be Americans and for the freedom that we enjoy. Thy great servant Ronald Reagan said that God intended man to be free, and we find this throughout the Bible. For examples, Galatians 5:1. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm and do not let yourselves be burdened again with the yoke of slavery. Or Psalm 119:45. I will walk in freedom, for I have sought out your precepts. Thy great servant George Washington reminded us it is impossible to rightly govern a nation without God and the Bible. Thy great servant Abraham Lincoln said that my concern is not whether God is on our side. My great concern is to be on God's side, for God is always right. We are free today because our founders and our forefathers and our foremothers chose to follow your wisdom and chose to be on your side and created a government that secures the rights that you endowed us with. So we pray today for the wisdom and guidance to know what your side is. And we pray for the courage and fortitude to carry forward your cause and the cause of freedom, as did our forefathers and our foremothers. We may focus on important issues such as taxes and spending and government debt, and these are all important things. But let us always remember the words of Psalm 33:12. Blessed is the land whose God is the Lord. And let us, in the words of 1 Peter 2:16, live as people who are free, not using freedom as a cover for evil, but living as servants of God. And if we do those things, we will secure our freedom, and we will make our country, we will make your country great again.
Thank you so much, Gregory. And now we have Lisa May, who's going to lead the national anthem.
I actually invite all of you to sing with me. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you so much, Lisa. And now we are going to have Barb Hazelden, who is from St. Petersburg and Clearwater, Florida, come lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Barb. I don't know about you, but I am just so tired of working so hard to help get Republicans elected and give them a majority in the House and the Senate, and then watching them fail time after time after time to keep their promises. The single most important promise they have made to us over the last 7.5 years is to repeal Obamacare. And what have we seen time after time after time? Excuses. First, they had to control the House. Then they control the House, and they have to control the Senate. They control the Senate, and they need the White House. They control the White House, and they still can't get it out of the United States Senate. We've watched them bring up bill after bill. These people have made promises to us. They've made promises to their voters, and they're failing to keep those promises. What we heard from John McCain yesterday is quite disturbing. But frankly, as I thought about it more last night, and I was really upset about this and very, very frustrated, I realized, quite frankly, John McCain is in large part why we have a Tea Party in the first place. So it makes sense that we're doing this rally today after he made such a ridiculous announcement last night. Back in 2009, when the TARP bill was passing through and the government was spending and spending and spending, and the government was growing and growing, he had to suspend his campaign to rush back to Washington to spend more of our money. But now he needs time to decide whether to keep the promise that the Republicans have been making to us for 7 years. And he wants bipartisan support for that when the Democrats didn't need bipartisan support to pass this awful law. It's ridiculous. And I think that we have to make sure over the next week, because we only have until Friday before this reconciliation vehicle ends, and then we have to start the process over again. We have until then. We've got to put the pressure on McCain. We also need to put the pressure on Susan Collins from Maine and Lisa Murkowski from Alaska. These are the people who are standing in the way right now of us getting repeal of Obamacare. And we need to make sure that they understand that we know what they're doing and we're watching them. We expect the people who we elected to keep their promises. And that's what we're here today to talk about. I'm going to have our first speaker come up. He is Seton Motely. He's been with us time after time. He stays true to our principles. He is with the organization Less Government, and he's going to come up and talk to you now.
I'd like to echo her sentiments and thank John McCain, the Colin Kaepernick of the U.S. Senate. You know, Trump may have phrased it a little indelicately during the campaign, but I think his sentiment was correct about John McCain. He watched him for 10 years, and we've seen nothing to change our minds since Trump got elected. I heard that quote, and I'm not sure if it's true, that after the first repeal and replace went down, McCain was, of course, the 49th vote that killed it. And he said, let's see Donald Trump try to make America great now. Again, this is not confirmed. I'm just saying I heard it from numerous sources that was said. Now, going forward, and Jenny Beth mentioned this, we've been here since 2009 in large part because of Obamacare. And for a long time, it was repeal, and repeal. There was no replace. They voted 20, 30 times under Obama, President Obama, to repeal, straight repeal. And then all of a sudden, as we started making it more and more possible for them to do that by giving them the House and giving them the Senate and now giving them the White House, it transmogrified, to steal a Calvin and Hobbes term, it transmogrified into repeal and replace, which I don't remember anybody here particularly being fond of. I wasn't fond of that transmogrification. It made it a lot harder to pass, which is why McConnell and Ryan were probably in favor of repeal and replace. But the fact of the matter is, outside of the expansion of Medicare, which is, I don't know, $30 trillion in debt, the expansion of Medicaid, which is multiple trillions of dollars in debt, outside of that, there is no new coverage under Obamacare. Meanwhile, tens of millions of Americans have watched their premiums double and triple, and their deductibles go double, triple. So you're paying $30,000, $40,000 out of pocket before the insurance kicks in at all, which is, by the way, the Neville Chamberlain of health insurance. I have here a piece of paper that says I have health insurance. Does it actually do anything? No, but I have a piece of paper that says I have health insurance. So I'm waiting for Obamacare to invade Poland. But so there is no, I want to go back to repeal and repeal. I want the bill that they passed 20, 30 times, put on the floor, and voted on again. And then we'll get to see again who amongst the Republicans is an actual proponent of repealing Obamacare and who is not. Right now, with the repeal and replace, you give them an out. I don't like this particular replace. I don't like this particular replace. That was McCain's explanation. Rand Paul, a more ideologically understandable no on the repeal and replace. I understand that. McCain's I don't. It's like eating prison oatmeal, trying to get through his logic. But the fact of the matter is, if you repeal and repeal, it's clean, it's pristine, and we get to see who actually wants to repeal Obamacare. There are, of course, 9 million other problems with Washington, D.C. I was born here. Please forgive me. And I've seen it grow and expand, and 13 of the 31 counties that average $100,000 or more a year in salary are D.C. suburbs. I wonder how that is, because they take $4 trillion a year and spend it. So the only growth industry in the entire country right now is government, and that's Washington, and thankfully less and less states around the country, because people like you have been very, very diligent in your home states and improving them, while Washington remains a disaster. I will close, because I don't know who's next, but I don't want to take up too much time. When I first moved back to D.C. after trying to sell 15 million records, I got a job with a guy named Richard Viguerie. Richard Viguerie is called the funding father of the conservative movement. He invented direct mail fundraising for politics. And his office was so big in the 80s that he had an entire building he rented out on 7th Street in Falls Church, and the post office came to him and rented a spot in his building because he was sending that much conservative direct mail. He had a great line back when I worked for him back in 2006. He said, before it was called a swamp, it was called various things. One of them was a cesspool. And he said, most of these Republicans run on, I'm going to clean up the cesspool in Washington, and then they get here and realize it's not a cesspool, it's a hot tub. And they're way too comfortable, they're way too pampered, they're way too cozy, and we've got to, I don't know how much hotter you can get a hot tub to go hotter, but we've got to turn up the heat on them and get rid of them as quickly as possible. And the way to do that, one of the ways to smoke them out, is a repeal and repeal vote like we had many times before. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Seton. And now we have a lady who co-founded the Atlanta Tea Party with me, and I've known now for 8.5 years. She was originally on the Trump train from the very beginning. We have a few other speakers who are like that today. And I want you to hear from Debbie Dooley from Atlanta, Georgia.
How many people in this audience are here on the Trump train? Let's hear Trump, Trump, Trump. Can you chant Trump, 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 Trump? This is a phenomenal crowd, and if anybody from the White House is listening or watching this rally is so special because the people that are at this rally are worker bees. We're fighters. We will fight for the Trump doctrine. Mr. President, we are your warriors in this crowd. We will fight you. We helped elect you, not the D.C. swamp. We give you your power. You have the power. It was not given to you by the D.C. swamp. I am so proud of the job that you're doing now. I have never seen a president that's willing to stand up and actually keep his promises, especially on Obamacare. How many times, I was just talking to folks backstage, I can remember us all being here on September 11th of 2009 trying to stop Obamacare. When it was passed, we had Republicans that pledged to us, and that is John Boehner, the House leadership, Mitch McConnell, Mitch McConnell was the Senate minority leader at that time. We were told, you give us the House and we'll fight and we will repeal Obamacare. People in this audience put our time aside. We worked hard. We gave Republicans Congress, the House. Did they repeal Obamacare? No. We then heard, we need the Senate. If you just give us the Senate, we promise that we will repeal Obamacare. We gave them the Senate in 2014. Did they repeal Obamacare? No. Then we were told, you know what? We really need the White House. You give us the White House, and I promise you we will repeal Obamacare. They were given the White House in 2016. And I may say they weren't given the White House because with the election of Donald Trump, the White House is truly the people's house now. They have the White House. Have they repealed Obamacare? No. And what I am saying and my message to these Republican leadership, especially Mitch McConnell, we are tired of your empty promises. We are tired of you saying one thing and making grand promises on the campaign trail in order to get power. And then once you have that power, we hear nothing but grand excuses. We're tired of it. And our message to you is we want action. We don't want empty promises. And I have been very disappointed because it's been painful for me because I'm about at the point that I believe that Mitch McConnell, that many Republicans, they only used a campaign message. To them, repealing Obamacare was just simply a campaign tool to take power. They have great health insurance. Okay? Look at people. There's millions of people that are like me. My premiums went, I have no pre-existing conditions. My premiums went from $270 a month before Obamacare to almost $600 a month. I can't afford health insurance. We need relief from Obamacare. So I am sick and tired of a bunch of elitist Republicans in the Senate that have good health care, so they don't care what happens to us. So I am here today, and I'm asking you to join me in asking President Trump to repeal the exemption for Congress that they have from Obamacare. Call the White House. Encourage President Trump. President Trump is truly a man of the people. Ask him, if they're not going to repeal Obamacare, then make the people in Congress suffer just like the rest of us. Repeal. Can we chant that so the White House and Congress can hear us? Repeal. 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 Can you hear us now, Mitch McConnell? Can you hear us now, John McCain? Can you hear us now, Senator Murkowski, Senator Collins? Can you hear us now? It's time you keep your promises or look for defeat in your next election. And make no mistake, if anybody really believes that Mitch McConnell is serious about keeping their promises to repeal Obamacare, I can tell you I have some oceanfront property in Tennessee I would love to sell you. Mitch McConnell is not serious, because if he was serious, he would tell the fellow senators this is what Republicans campaigned on, to repeal Obamacare. And if you can't support the Republican agenda and help us keep our promises, then we're going to remove the chairmanship of the committees you serve on. Again, it's time to make Congress feel the pain. Let them suffer with the rest of us that are suffering under the burdens of Obamacare. I want to thank everyone for being here today. Are you ready to fight to repeal Obamacare and fight for our president? Mr. President, your warriors, give us your marching orders, sir. We're here. We are people that will fight in the trenches. And I call upon all of you to call the White House Monday and ask them to do an executive order that will repeal the exemption members of Congress have from Obamacare. I ask you to call Mitch McConnell's office and demand he strip the chairmanship of committees for any Republican senator that refuses to vote to keep the promises of repealing Obamacare. Starting with McCain. John McCain. I'll have to say one thing about, John McCain. He's the most effective Democrat in the Senate. Thank you. The fight has just begun. I want to thank Tea Party Patriots Jenny Beth Martin for putting this together. They're doing such an incredible job. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Debbie. And you're absolutely right. We need to get rid of that illegal exemption from Obamacare. The illegal subsidy that Congress, the members of the House, the members of the Senate, and their staff have. It's absolutely ridiculous. Democrats pass this law, and yet they will not live under the law. When they realized how bad it was, they wanted their own illegal special exemption from this law. And Republicans can't seem to get their act together to repeal it. Yet they also are living with their own illegal special exemption from Obamacare. I don't know about you, but I'm sick to death of getting premium notices where my premiums are going up. Getting bills that no longer have co-pays that are hundreds of dollars every time that we go to the doctor for the most minor items. With deductions that are $7,000, $10,000 a year. It's ridiculous. That, Obamacare, I think that what Congress does not understand is Obamacare is the single largest tax increase any of us have had to deal with. It keeps going up every single year. And it's a hidden tax. They don't want to admit that it's a tax, so they make it look like it's an insurance premium. But make no mistake, this is a tax. They need to get rid of it. And if they're not going to get rid of it, they darn well need to live under this law like the rest of us. I cannot believe that I'm standing here on September 23rd, 2017, saying repeal Obamacare, but that's where we are. So that's what we're going to have to do. They need to keep their promise to repeal Obamacare. We're going to have to be watching out because they're going to be spending more money, and we're going to have to watch for the next government spending bills that will come in November. We're also going to have a debt ceiling that we have to deal with, and President Trump wants to get tax reform passed. Right now, I'm not very confident that Congress can pass tax reform either. They can't even keep this single promise. So we've got our work cut out for us. If we want these things to happen, we have to hold Congress accountable. We have to hold their feet to the fire. President Trump needs us so that he can keep his campaign promises. And I'm going to do all I can, and I know each of you are going to do all that you can. Before we go to the next speaker, I'd like you to take your phone out and type in the number 388873. That's the number I need you to text to. So it's 388873. Text the word promises to 388873. That way we know who is here and we can get information to you. Debbie Dooley asked you on Monday morning to call the White House and ask for the end of the illegal exemption from Obamacare. We'll send you a phone number by text on Monday morning to remind you. 388873. Text the word promises. All right, our next speaker is from Fort Wayne, Indiana. He's one of our local coordinators and state coordinators from Indiana. Please join me in welcoming Emery McClendon.
right, everybody. Are you excited about being here? Yeah. Do you know why you're here? Yeah. Can you let them hear us across the street? Yeah. A little louder. Yeah. Come on, ramp it up a little louder. Yeah. Keep your promises. Keep your promises. Keep your promises. That's right. Let them hear us. It was only a little over 8 years ago when we the people formed what became known as the Tea Party movement. We shared common feelings of being let down by our government over excessive taxes, unemployment, terror threats, the threat of socialized health care, and lack of real leadership by our elected leaders in Congress and in the White House. I'm sure you haven't forgot one Barack Hussein Obama. He set out to change America. He set out to destroy America. But we the people united and we stood for America. We marched. We rallied. We spoke up. We wrote letters, called our representatives, but most of all, we united and we looked to Almighty God to help us find ways to restore and heal our land. God is good. We began to make a difference, and those who we addressed heard us, and they reached out to us to hear our grievances, but they didn't keep their promises. They also promised us that they would fix them, but nothing has been fixed. Nothing has been fixed. We met with them and tried to help put together common sense solutions that would put our nation back on the track to greatness. We worked hard to elect new leadership and to place those in elected office who would work for us, we the American people, and respect our United States Constitution. We did so in our city, our counties, and our state government, and in the nation's capital. But they don't seem to be able to hear us. Can they hear us now? We knew deep down in our hearts that this would be a long process, but we were willing to do whatever it takes to renew the spirit of the American dream in our hearts, so that the United States would remain on the course that brought it to prosperity and to become the beacon of freedom and liberty that our founders intended it to be. You see, they wanted us to build upon their dream. They dreamed of a land where individuals would be successful, would be strong, and free from the burdens of government. In their hearts and minds, they believed that all men should be able to enjoy the fruit of their labor and have the opportunity to pursue and achieve their innermost dream as a result of their own hard work, not through handouts. We also believe, just as our founders did, that freedom isn't free. We believe that it takes hard work and sacrifice to keep our republic strong. We know the history of our nation and the stories of those that have paved the way before us to make this nation great, prosperous, and most of all, lasting, the United States of America. These stories give us continued hope. We believe in order for the United States of America to remain a great nation, we must show support and appreciation for those who protect our liberty. Whether serving in the armed forces, or in public service. Thank God for our veterans and for our military people and for our police officers. I speak of our police officers and our first responders because they deserve a special thank you from each and every citizen of the United States of America. We especially remember those who have given their lives so that we might live and enjoy the fruit of liberty. We sincerely, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. We believe that our children and our grandchildren deserve the same opportunities that our ancestors gave to us. So we today have risen to the task of ensuring a bright future for all of us. Those who came to this new land cried out to God for a chance to be free. Free to worship. Free to speak out. Free to seek after life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As a result of that, and as a result of those desires, the miracle that we call the United States of America was born. A new nation was born that allowed us its citizens, both men and women, to live in the freest society ever known to mankind on the planet. Make no mistake about it, there are those who sought to destroy the hope that was burning in the hearts and minds of the American patriot. They fought to destroy it then, in the beginning, and they will still fight us today. We will not surrender, will we? They would have us to live under the direction and under the boot of the state. They would have us to believe that our individual rights are granted to us by their authority rather than by our Creator God. However, as we read in our founding documents, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. We have hope today. We have hope tomorrow. We have hope right here and now. The government did not give us anything concerning our rights, and we will not allow the government to take them. So as we look back, we look forward to the future, but we look backwards also, knowing that our founders gave us a great land. That is why we are gathered here today. We stand together to rekindle the founders' fire, to prune, as it were, the tree of liberty, to renew our hearts and our souls. We gather to plead with our representatives that you will remember your promises to us. We ask that you do what your constituents elected you to do. That's all. It's simple. And that you take your oath of office seriously and obey the United States Constitution most of all. Those of you who claim that you were conservative asked us for a majority in the House of Representatives. We gave it to you. You asked for a majority in the Senate. We gave it to you. Then you asked and said that we need a president that will work with us to get the agenda done that we promised you. We gave you Donald Trump. And he presented to you a conservative agenda. He promised to drain the swamp and to make America great again. But guess what? You refused to support him. You made promises, and we are here to ask you to keep the promises. Keep the promises that you made to America and to each and every American voter. We were promised a clean repeal of Obamacare, tax reform, a border wall that's secure, immigration reform, a stronger economy and military, and a host of other legislation that would restore our nation and put America back on the path to prosperity and keep us great. We heard you, and now it's your turn to hear from us. Once again, to answer this question, Debbie said, can you hear us now? But I want you to say, do you hear us now? Do you hear us now? Do you hear us now? Two more times. We're here, and we're not going anywhere. So, Patriots, as we stand together here today, let's raise our voices together in unison to proclaim that we love our nation. We love our nation, don't we? And that we want the promises fulfilled that we voted for. Or we will replace those representatives who refuse to be truthful to us. I thank Tea Party Patriots for the opportunity to speak today. I thank Jenny Beth Martin for all of her hard work. I thank all of you who gathered here today. Be proud of yourself. Keep the American dream. Teach your children what's right. Teach them about America. Teach them the Constitution. And most of all, never forget freedom and liberty. Use them or lose them. Can you repeat that with me? Freedom and liberty. Use them or lose them. Freedom and liberty. Use them or lose them. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America.
Thank you, Emery. I know when we have people like you, we are not going to lose our freedom. Before we go to the next speaker, I want to let you know that in a little while, before you leave, we're going to make sure you pick up one of these. It's our how-to guide to work on tax reform. I told you I'm worried about Congress actually passing tax reform, but what I know is that when we speak up and we work to accomplish a goal, we can do it. So we're going to make sure you get this. We're leaving here. We have over 22 states represented here today. And we also have the District of Columbia. We have people all the way from California. We've got people from coast to coast. We have people from Maine and California. It's Minnesota. I think we've got, let's see, anyone from Florida? I'm pretty sure. Woo! What about Georgia, South Carolina? We've got South Carolina, Georgia. I know we've had North Carolina, Virginia. Virginia's always here for us. We appreciate that you've got our backs. What about Pennsylvania? Maryland. There's more than one. I see a few more. Woo! Iowa. Illinois. Arizona. They may not be here large in numbers, but they make up for the deep voice. Indiana, where our vice president is from. What about Tennessee, Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi? What did you say? Texas. West Virginia. Louisiana. We've got 22 states. I don't know if I can hear everyone. I see someone yelling back there. Ohio. Very important state that went for Donald Trump, as did Pennsylvania. Thank you, Pennsylvania, for delivering. Massachusetts. Now that's a deep blue state. We also have people here from Delaware. Alabama. North Carolina. How can I miss North Carolina? New York. New Jersey. I'm pretty sure we've got New Jersey. Oregon? Wow, we've got someone from Oregon, folks. Oregon. Coast to coast. Congress, you need to keep your promises. All right, our next guest is going to speak to you. He's been out here. He's been with us from the very beginning, fighting to stop Obamacare. He has been one of the voices leading the way on trying to end this illegal and special exemption from Obamacare. Please join me in welcoming a father of twins, Phil Kerpen.
I like the gratuitous twins reference. I can actually, my twins are the middle of four, actually. So it's the father of four, two of them. It was 7.5 years ago today, which I'm told is just a coincidence, but it's interesting nonetheless. 7.5 years ago today that Obamacare passed, the final passage vote in Congress. It was March 23rd, 2010, and I think a lot of you were there with me. We were right there outside the Capitol, screaming our lungs out, begging them not to do this to us. And they ignored us. They ignored us that day. And I was with you again in front of the Supreme Court that day where we all got whiplash, where the first news broke that they said it wasn't Commerce Clause, and we all cheered, and then we sort of read down a little more, and they said, oh no, John Roberts says Obamacare is a tax, and he saved it. And we're here today again, potentially, I don't want to get your hopes up too much, because John McCain and everything like that, but potentially on the eve of finally repealing Obamacare, and it is on a knife's edge right now, guys. Look. The last run that they made at this in June, it failed by one vote. John McCain, Lisa Murkowski, and Susan Collins were the three Republicans who voted no. Lisa Murkowski, we are told, is now poised to vote yes. But we have a problem. Because Rand Paul, who voted for repeal last time, says it's not good enough for him this time. He says if you don't have 100% repeal of everything, I'd rather have 100% of Obamacare. And I'm sorry, I like Rand Paul, but if he votes with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Barack Obama to save Obamacare because he can't have his exact perfect replacement, then he will own this every bit as much as John Roberts does. And look, there isn't a Democrat up there who cares what we think. Let's be honest. John McCain doesn't care what we think. I don't think Susan Collins cares what we think, but I sure hope that Rand Paul cares what we think. And so we've got a couple of days here to convince him to vote for this bill. And let me tell you, this bill repeals the individual mandate, the corrupt, evil, beating heart of Obamacare, the issue that was before the Supreme Court. It repeals the employer mandate, which is getting people's hours cut under 30 hours, causing small businesses not to expand. It repeals the medical device tax. And perhaps most significantly, it lets any state that wants to get out from under all of the rules and regulations that are destroying health insurance in this country, and it takes all of the money in Obamacare out of Washington and it sends it to the state capitals. And let's be honest, that's not a perfect solution because the state capitals have a lot of politicians that know how to do a lot of stupid things too, but I'll take my chances. I'll take my chances having 50 fights in 50 state capitals where we can at least win some of them versus everything being decided up here in Washington. And that's what's at stake in this bill that's going to come up this week. And that's why, humbly, I know there are differences of opinion, but I would humbly ask you to weigh in with Rand Paul and beg him to vote for Obamacare repeal. And let's have this fight at the state level where, at least in some states, I know that we can win. Now, who's the other person in town who ought to care what we think? If Congress doesn't, President Trump should. And as Jenny Beth mentioned, one of the gravest injustices going on in Obamacare right now is the fact that even though the law says that Congress was supposed to lose their employer coverage and go in Obamacare and pay their own premiums, that has never happened. Okay? That's the law of the land. It's on the books. Look it up. Section 1312D3D of Obamacare says they're no longer eligible for the Federal Employee Health Benefits Plan. There is no employer contribution authorized, and yet, in the Obama administration, they issued a rulemaking that says that you, the taxpayer, will pay 72% of the premium for every single member of Congress. Now, they are not feeling the pain of Obamacare. They are supposed to, and that's why they are not motivated to get this done. If the president says, look, you pass the law, you're going to live under it, you get no relief until everyone gets relief, one of two things would happen, okay? One of two things would happen. Either they would feel enough pain and their spouses and their families would say, look, we want good health care again, get it done, and they would actually come to the table when we get Obamacare repealed, or you know what? Maybe they wouldn't, but at least they would feel the pain they deserve to feel as well. And so even if, some people say, oh, they won't do it, okay, even if it doesn't make them act, it's still the right thing to do. President Trump has the power to do this, okay? There are a lot of staff in the White House advising him to do it. He knows he has the power. He's threatened it twice in tweets. I don't think the threat is enough. He's got to go ahead and actually do it. And look, I've heard from in the White House they're getting massive pushback on this from Capitol Hill. Even all the Republicans want them not to do it. It's kind of, what'd you expect? You thought they were going to happily give up taxpayers paying 72% of their premium? They're not going to happily give that up. That's all the more reason to do it. And so I got 2 action items for you guys coming out today. One is call Rand Paul, tell him he's got to vote for this bill. The fight will go on at the state level. It's much better than having it fail. Number 2 is contact the White House. Tell them, look, enough's enough. Enough threats. Do it. Rescind the special bailout from Obamacare for members of Congress. Don't threaten it. Don't wait around. Don't think about it. Actually do it. And those are my only 2 action items for you guys. I want to thank everyone so much for being here. It's been a long 7.5 years that we've been at this, and really, we were fighting it for a year before that, before the day passed. So it's been more like 8 or 9 years that we've been fighting this healthcare issue and all these other issues. We gave them the House in 2010. We gave them the Senate in 2014. We've got the White House now. No more excuses. They've got to get this done. I wish they could have done a better repeal bill than this one, I'll be honest. But if this is all we can get, Rand Paul's got to vote for it. We've got to move this fight to the states and try to win in as many states as we can next. So thank you guys so much. Thanks for being out here again and again and again and again, coming out once again today. And let's make this the last federal rally on repealing Obamacare. Get this thing passed, and we'll take this fight to all the state capitals next. Thank you so much, everyone.
And thank you for being out here with us every time that we have to be out here. I don't know if I did that or if someone else did that. All right, folks, do we have veterans here today? Woo! Let's give a round of applause for those who fight for our country to keep it free. Our next speaker is one of the people who traveled from California to be here today. He's with the Redlands Tea Party. He has an amazing group. He made thousands of phone calls last year to help get out the vote around the country, and especially in Pennsylvania. Who's here from Pennsylvania? John Barry connected with your state to help deliver your state, and we had thousands of people from around the country doing that. He is a 35-year veteran. He's still serving in the Army Reserves. He was in the Iraq War and in the Afghanistan War. Please welcome John Barry.
Hey, fellow patriots. My name's John Barry, and I am the California State Coordinator for the Tea Party Patriots. Thanks. I am also a still serving 35-year veteran of the U.S. Army and U.S. Army Reserve. I went to basic training in 1983, and I've been serving ever since. My last mobilization took me to Iraq and Afghanistan in 2011. Wherever I am, and whether or not I'm in uniform, people come up and tell me, thank you for your service. But I want to take this opportunity to say to such great patriots, thank you for your support. Every time I hear that sentiment, I've always thanked the person because I know their words come from the heart. Their words caused me to work just that much harder in a combat zone because I knew the work I was doing over there was being appreciated back over here. When I was in Iraq and Afghanistan, I worked 12 to 14-hour days for 188 consecutive days. Just knowing that people appreciated what I was doing kept me going more than the mess hall coffee. And that's kind of saying a lot because I think they use crayons for texture. You know, that's. And now in 2017, the best way you can show your support for the U.S. military is to continue supporting Donald Trump and urge Congress to act on his pro-military agenda. I should say here that my views do not reflect the Department of Defense, but they should. So, the number one job of the U.S. government is to keep us safe. And making America safe again means getting our financial house in order so we have more money for national defense. That means the more money we're wasting on Obamacare, the more money we're wasting on the national debt, the more money we're wasting on excessive regulation, all means we have less money to do what Congress is supposed to do, which is make America safe again. And we need money for national security because, as Trump said in his most awesome United Nations speech, right, is the reality is we're going to have to soon deal with nukes in Iran and with Rocket Man in North Korea. So everybody has a top 10 list, so here's my top 10 reasons why Donald Trump is our best commander-in-chief since Ronald Reagan. So, number 10, Donald Trump is not Hillary Rodham Clinton. That could be number 1 in many ways. Number 9, Donald Trump understands that building a wall is how we make America safe again. Number 8, Donald Trump understands that illegal immigration is a threat to our national security. Number 7, Donald Trump won't treat the military like some liberal petri dish of social causes. And I can tell you, that so irritates people in the military, that we're some social outlet for them. Oh. Anyway, number 6, Donald Trump understands that the military's job is to win wars and not fight global warming. Number 5, Donald Trump has raised morale. One of my little favorite anecdotes is, with Obama in the White House, the Marines had to be assigned to the White House. Now they're volunteering for the White House. Number 4, Donald Trump appointed fighting leaders who win wars, not political generals who suck up to the media. Donald Trump gets us as soldiers. Trump understands what makes us tick as people who serve our country. Trump understands that Sergeant Bergdahl endangered his fellow GIs when he deserted his post, and that Chelsea Manning betrayed the military and did not deserve a pardon. Number 2, Donald Trump actually uses the word victory. Donald Trump proudly talks about victory with U.S. forces in combat, a word Obama never used. Number 1 reason why Donald Trump is the best commander-in-chief since Ronald Reagan is Donald Trump shows decisive leadership. And he's done this time and time again with his appointments. You see that already, the way he took out ISIS. It was fantastic. So Donald Trump makes a decision, then delegates the authority to the fighting generals so they can make battlefield decisions without first checking with the White House. And if we can get Congress to show the same decisive leadership as Donald Trump, then our problems with illegal immigration, Obamacare, and the national debt would all be solved. Number 9. As an American and as a veteran, I am so frustrated that we finally have the right president with the right attitude, with the right agenda at the precisely right time of history, only to have a Congress that is sitting on its stuff and refusing to act on its agenda. Please call Congress to act. And when I say Congress, I know it's pronounced Congress, but it's spelled M-C-C-A-I-N. So, again, I said my name is John Berry, and I'm the California State Coordinator for the Tea Party Patriots. If you're a local coordinator in California, come on up and see me. I'd love to talk. And finally, again, thank you for your support of the veterans and support of the military, the greatest single force the world has ever known. Thank you.
Remember, you're going to get one of these when it's time to leave. It's your how-to guide, how to work on tax reform so we can see tax reform become a reality. We need tax cuts. We need tax reform. It needs to be simpler, reduce rates, and grow the economy. Our next guest knows all about this and way more than I could ever know, and is Pinky. He knows more about it. He was an advisor to the Trump campaign. He was an advisor to the Trump-Pence transition team, and he's a senior fellow with FreedomWorks. Please join me in welcoming Steve Moore.
Boy, it's so wonderful to see so many deplorable people. Congratulations for being here. We are going to, by the way, last night I was on CNN and I had to debate the Democrats' the liberals' new expert on health care, Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel is the best the Democrats can do on health care. We can't win this fight. We can't win anything. And by the way, we are going to win this vote next week. We're going to get Rand Paul. We're going to get these guys, and we're going to turn Obamacare back. One line we should be using, by the way, you all know this. If we don't get rid of Obamacare, you saw what happened 10 days ago, right? You saw what Bernie Sanders wants. 1/3 of the Democrats in the United States Senate want a government takeover of the healthcare system. They want a government healthcare system. Now, here's a line I used this on CNN last night. It just made all the liberals cringe. Under the Bernie Sanders healthcare plan, 135 million Americans lose their health insurance. And they call that progress, right? They call that progress. So we have to stop government health care. Okay, a little bit on tax reform and tax cuts. I'm so glad my friend Jenny Beth Martin talked about tax cuts. My old friend Bob Novak. Do you all remember Bob Novak, the great columnist? He used to say the only reason God put Republicans on this earth is to cut taxes, right? So let's get a tax cut this year. Let's get a tax cut this year. But that's not all. That is not all. We are standing 10 blocks away from one of the most evil buildings in America, the IRS building. Let's get rid of the IRS and the income tax entirely. Let's just get rid of the IRS. Let us, Jenny Beth, where are you? The next time we have this rally, we ought to be in front of the IRS, and I want a bonfire, and we're going to burn the 80,000 page IRS tax code, right? Let's just burn it to shreds. And while we are at it, did you know, ladies and gentlemen, today there are 75,000 snoops who work at the IRS. Let us shut down the IRS, and let's start by getting rid of the current director of the IRS who has gone after our conservative groups, and we cannot take that kind of intimidation tactic. I'm here to tell you today, I feel very confident we are going to get this done, but what we have to do is light a fire under the butts of these Republicans. They're moving too slowly on this. We have to do 3 things. We have to cut taxes for every small business in America so they can hire more workers, right? Number 1, every single small business in America has to get a tax cut. My old friend Dick Armey, you all remember Dick Armey, he was one of the founders of FreedomWorks. He used to say, liberals love jobs, but they hate employers. You can't have jobs without employers, right? Unless we're all going to work for the government. Number 2, let's provide every single working family in America with a $2,000 tax cut in 2018. Because you know what? American families can spend this money a lot better than the federal government can. And number 3, we estimate that there is $3 trillion that's stuck in overseas bank accounts by American companies. Let's let those companies bring that money back to the United States. Bring it back home, right? Bring it back home to America. We'll get $3 trillion more invested here in the United States, and we'll raise $300 billion that we can use to reduce the deficit. Ladies and gentlemen, if we get this done, we are going to get 10 million additional jobs in the United States over the next 6 years. We are going to get 4% growth for 5 years, and we are going to make the American economy great again. Thank you very much. I'm so privileged to be with you today.
Thank you, Steve Moore. Folks, the IRS targeted groups with Tea Party Patriots in their name. You're not going to find a single more personally motivated person in this entire country than I am to change that code and make it simpler. We have to do this. They use that code against us. The way to solve that problem is to make that code where they can no longer use it against people like us. And that's why, no matter what happens, we're leaving here today. We're going to work on repealing Obamacare in the congressional exemption, and we are going to go back home, and we are going to pass tax reform this year. We're going to demand Congress get this done before Thanksgiving. That's the deadline, Thanksgiving. Okay, our next speaker, I know you know his work. We know a lot about what happened in the IRS because of his work. We know a lot about what happens behind closed doors in all of government because of his work. Please join me in welcoming Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch.
God bless America. We are not here, thank you, we are not here to ask politicians to keep their promises. We're here to ask the politicians to do their jobs. We want them to restore lawful and constitutional governance to this poor city. The Trump administration is being undermined from within, by the deep state bureaucrats who oppose him ideologically and stand against his agenda to de-administer the administrative state. Why is John Koskinen still IRS Commissioner? Why is the Justice Department in every day and every way protecting Hillary Clinton? Judicial Watch is in court against administration lawyers from the Trump administration, not the Clinton administration, not the Obama administration, where they are protecting Hillary Clinton's interests. I want an audit to be done of the Justice Department cover-up of the Hillary Clinton email scandal. My guess is the president wants one too. But either due to insubordination or outright hostility, his appointees do not want to do the work that's been entrusted to them by the American people. Because to go after Hillary Clinton is to go after Barack Obama. It's to go after the State Department. It's to go after the Justice Department. It's to go after the FBI. We hear a lot about IRS and tax reform. We don't need to reform our tax system. We need to reform the IRS. The IRS is a sword of Damocles over our head and a threat, clear and present danger to the First Amendment. Yet this Justice Department said they don't want to reopen the IRS criminal investigation. Why? Because they might have to ask someone by the name of Robert Mueller, why were you collaborating with Lois Lerner to put in jail the very groups Lois Lerner was suppressing at the IRS? They don't want to have to ask the Justice Department attorneys who are working with Lois Lerner to get the IRS files of virtually every group in the country that was politically active. None of this was exposed by Congress, the media, or the agencies, but through litigation brought by a citizens group, a little old citizens group called Judicial Watch. The corruption you heard from Mr. Kerpen about the Obamacare exception in Congress. We didn't know about that from Congress. We didn't know about that from the administration. We knew about that because Judicial Watch forced it out of the D.C. government. And they gave us the fraudulent forms Congress signed on behalf of Republicans and Democrats, saying we're a small business, less than 45 people. Let us into the Obamacare exchanges. Your members of Congress, if they're getting Obamacare, are getting that subsidy in violation of federal law. And I guarantee you, any repeal being discussed isn't going to repeal the illegal subsidies for Obamacare congressmen. This is what we're concerned about. The other side wants to bore you with policy We want the rule of law enforced. We need to battle and end corruption. The president needs to make this a priority. His attorney general needs to make it a priority. His FBI director needs to make it a priority. The State Department, still covering up for Hillary Clinton. They are slowing down the release of Hillary Clinton's emails under this administration. They are defending her mishandling and classified information under this administration. How frustrating it is for Judicial Watch attorneys to go into federal court and be confronted across the table by lawyers for the Trump administration defending Obama and Hillary Clinton. Then we face the rule of law crisis caused by Mr. Comey. This was an administration, the Obama administration, that was willing to use the IRS, the FBI, and the Department of Justice to suppress the Tea Party movement in order to ensure his election in 2012. Is it a stretch to think he did the same thing in protecting Hillary Clinton and targeting Donald Trump in 2016? Of course not. The real Russia scandal is the Obama surveillance, targeting, and illegal classified leaks of targeting Donald Trump and his team. The real Russia scandal is the FBI director in a fit, leaving the FBI, taking documents with him, authorizing the leak from those documents to the New York Times in order to get a special counsel prosecuted. Committing a crime to get another crime investigated? How does that work in Washington, D.C.? And Mr. Mueller, again, implicated in the IRS scandal, implicated in the improper targeting of James Rosen of Fox News Channel. Remember the FISA warrant against Fox News' James Rosen and his parents? That's Mueller time. And Mr. Mueller interviewed supposedly for the same FBI director position he's now criminally investigating Donald Trump for. And on top of that, he's answerable to no one, constitutionally speaking. End it now, shut it down, fire Mr. Mueller. And what are we doing about it? We're doing what we know best. We're not going to rely on the administration. We're not going to rely on Congress. We're not going to rely on media. We're going to rely on ourselves. We have 52 lawsuits against the Trump administration. We're battling them on transparency and secrecy. And surprise, surprise, a lot of the lawsuits are because the deep state doesn't want to turn over documents that might be hurtful to the Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton gang, and that might be helpful to Donald Trump. But the wonderful thing is we don't have to rely on Congress. We have shown, whether it be with the IRS scandal that we exposed, the Benghazi scandal which we exposed, the Clinton email scandal which we exposed, the courts can provide redress still. The system still works. And let me end saying this is a great country. Because for all the corruption and complaints we have, there's nowhere else on earth where you can go into court and be on equal footing, relatively speaking, with the IRS, the State Department, the President of the United States, and Congress, you name it. If we were anywhere else, we wouldn't be able to do it. So God bless America, and God bless you for your personal activism. You can't rely on the politicians. You have to do it yourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tom Fitton. As you can see, there's a trend here. End the illegal special exemption from Obamacare. End the illegal subsidy from Obamacare. And folks, they need to do it. President Trump, I wish he would announce it on Monday. That's what needs to happen. Put the pressure on these people next week so that they act. Don't wait until after they do or don't act. Do the right thing because it's the right thing and send a signal and a message to Congress. Right now, I truly question whether these people in these pause, respect what's going on down the street in the White House. This would be a way to remind them that they can't continue to live illegally outside of the law. Our next guest is from Shreveport, Louisiana. He was with us on 9/12/2009. How many of you were here that day when we marched from Washington? He was there. He gave the invocation. He's an incredible speaker then. He's moved through this movement. He's spread the message across the entire country as a radio program coast to coast. Please join me in welcoming C.L. Bryant.
Hello, Americans. It's a great day in the USA. And I want to thank God for this day that we have in the greatest nation on the face of the planet, the greatest success story the world has ever known, the United States of America. My friends, I want to thank Jenny Beth Martin, FreedomWorks, and all of you who have come out today, and I will ask you to draw near. Let us have our time in the sunshine right now. Let us spend time together as Americans right now so that we can lift up our voices together and send a unified message along with a unified question. And that question is how? They have forgotten how they got to where they are. They have forgotten how. 8 years ago, Barack Obama was elected president. And Americans, we need to remind them of how they survived 8 years of Barack Hussein Obama. It was because of people like you that this nation has survived. They have forgotten how they won the House of Representatives. They've forgotten how they won the Senate. They have forgotten how they now have the White House. It is because of people like you. How is it possible that they got the House of Representatives? People like you. How is it possible that they got the Senate? People like you. How is it possible that a non-politician pulled off an improbable upset and wins the White House? It is because of people like you and my friends. 8 years ago, 1.5 million of us descended upon Washington, D.C. to send this message. And that message was, we have elected you, we have hired you to do a job for the American people, but we sent this message from those Capitol steps, and the message was, if you cannot do the American job, if you cannot do your job, then you need to pack your bags and get out of our state houses and get out of our national houses. That is still the message that we are sending. So they told us, give us the House and we'll do your bidding. They told us, give us the Senate and we'll do our jobs. They told us, give us the Oval Office and we'll do our jobs. My friends, today we send this message to them. We're tired of you telling us anything anymore. We have come to tell you that you will be out of office next year if, in fact, you do not promise. Do what you promised. Do what you promised. How? What are we prepared to do, my friends, is a question that we must ask ourselves. What are we prepared to do about this abusive and dysfunctional relationship that we have with the American government. It is a bad relationship. And we don't want to be the first to say goodbye. But I want to tell you this, and they need to understand that the same people that give it are the same people that will take it away, and don't you let them forget that. My friends, it is important now that we understand that there are perilous days ahead of us. It is important now to understand that we have reached a crossroads in this country where men and women of courage, men and women of character must stand together and answer a great American question. What are we prepared to do? Well, we must be prepared to do what our founders were prepared to do. And that is to say the words that were in their hearts as we find ourselves now, when in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands that connect them with another, to assume among the powers of the earth a separate but equal identity with the laws of nature and the laws of nature's God. Today, my friends, as I have stated, the preamble to our Declaration of Independence, we send this message that we will no longer be codependent upon Washington, D.C. We are a free people, and we will remain a free people. So, my friends, as I leave you now, there is yet one more question that I ask all across this nation. There is one more question that we as Americans 8 years down the road are still banding together, asking ourselves in times like these. I crisscross this nation once a month, almost every month of this year. Sometimes shaking unfriendly hands, sometimes being welcomed by people like you. But there is a question that I asked from those steps 8 years ago that we answered resoundingly. We answered in ways that bring us still here today, fighting this righteous and good fight. And that question is, Americans, are there any patriots left in this country? Is there anyone here who will stand up for the Republic, stand up for America, stand up for God and country? The Americans, stand up! Stand up! Stand up! God bless you! God bless America!
Stand up for freedom, folks! Our next speaker fought for our freedom. Please join me in welcoming Gregg Cummings from Iowa.
How's everybody doing? All right, I need you to humor me for a minute. In a second, I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath. All right? Go ahead and do it. Take a deep breath and let it out. All right, now the next time I'm going to say take a deep breath, I'm going to say hold it. And then I'm going to say let it out, and I want to hear a loud and a thunderous, "We the people!" I want you to blow that dome off of that building behind me. Take a deep breath. Hold it. Hold it. Let it out. Outstanding, outstanding, and that's exactly where the focus is going to go right now. No other time in human history has any three words put together meant so much to so many people, encouraged so many villages and communities, and given hope to more nations on this planet than those three words, we the people. That's you. That's this movement across this country that's fighting the progressive cancer. You got to keep it up. John Adams said, liberty cannot be preserved by a people that didn't know it. If we are continuing down the path that our legislators are taking us, a couple generations from now, we the people won't know liberty. So that puts the onus on you, on your shoulders, individually, to get engaged. George Washington said that this was a great American experiment for a reason. Because never before have we ever had a great republic like we have today. From the landing on Plymouth Rock to the signing of the Constitution was 180 years. We tried everything. We tried socialism in every different way that you can imagine. We tried communism. We even tried Christian communism, and it didn't work. Socialism isn't working today in Venezuela. It doesn't matter what kind of lipstick you put on it, what new label you put on it, like democratic socialism, it's still going to fail because it doesn't work. So we came up with a republic, which is not a democracy, which is not a pure democracy. A democracy champions the will of the many. If the many raised their hands and said, you will from now on be wearing black masks over your face and beating up people, and that becomes law, guess what? It's the law. That's what a pure democracy is. We are a republic. A republic champions the individual rights of each one of you, of every American in this country. That's what it means. It's going to take you to hold the line for this republic. We have made tons of gains. We went from 23 governors to 33 governors because of your movement, because of the movement of the people. We went from 8 trifecta states to 26 trifecta states in the United States because of you, we the people. We have continued to fight. And we see battle fatigue today. We see the same faces show up. Don't give up, because right now is key. Now is when you need to get on partypatriots.org and register. Start downloading the how-to guides and the toolkit to get active. Start asking 2 or 3 people to come to your place to talk, discuss, plan, and do your job as the authority of this great American experiment, right? Because if you're not doing your job, you can't expect them to keep their promises. So you got to get engaged. You got to get involved. Now, believe it or not, the Democratic Party is unraveling before our eyes, and they don't even see it. The progressive movement slowly took over the Democratic Party like a cancer. It started kicking out all the old John F. Kennedy Democrats until finally it was completely engulfed by this cancer we call progressivism. And now this cancer, because they compromise all the time in that building, is now starting to affect some of the leadership, which I now label the progressive Republican leadership. It's going to take you, we the people, to write those letters. Use those toolkits. The greatest tool that we have right now that we the people across this country has developed, and we were so excited that we developed it, and now we forgot about it. And that's the GOP platform. The GOP platform has never been so conservative like it is right now for over 20 years. And that's because of you, we the people. Get it, download it, Google it, Read it. Find whatever issues that you're excited about. It's in there. Use these toolkits that the Tea Party Patriots developed and put them to use. The Democratic Party, through progressivism, like an umbrella, like a slithering winged serpent, brought together in unity fascism, communism, socialism, all to work in concert with each other to achieve their goals. It is chaos. The left charges hate by hating. The left charges racism by being racist. The alt-left absolutely is doing the wrong thing, is feeding the society incorrectly and are cheating our children of a true education. The biggest thing that they are doing, they are charging division from you by dividing we the people into categories. That's the alt-left. That is not the alt-right. All right? Their leadership, like Elizabeth Warren and Nancy Pelosi, are trying desperately to feed off of the hate of the alt-left. We have Bernie Sanders tearing down our republic all at the same time that Hillary Clinton is tearing down Bernie Sanders. We have Chuck Schumer sitting back and belittling the very progressive Republicans that are helping them out. It's madness. But let me tell you, stay in the fight, because love is still stronger than hate. Unity is still stronger than division. A true melting pot is still stronger than divided groups. We the people are e pluribus unum. The character that each one of you possesses is 10 times greater than your skin color, than your gender, or your age and class of people that you are. As our once great Republican champion Martin Luther King's dreamed of. Now look, take action, seriously. Get involved even more. Now's the time to tighten your belt. Start registering for all these different groups, especially the toolkits that the Tea Party Patriots have available for you. It don't cost you a dime. Do it. The country needs you. I want to finish with this. Honor and respect the flag of our nation. Remember that from Valley Forge to the soldiers they are bringing home tomorrow that gave the ultimate sacrifice for this great republic of ours represent many skin colors, both genders, or any gender that you want to identify with. It represents a lineage of warriors that you too, getting up off the couch, can be that same warrior, that patriot. Remember that when they bring those coffins back, they're wrapped in the red and the white and the blue. God bless America, and Charlie might continue the mission.
Thank you so much, Greg Cummings. All right, let's do a chant. Keep your promises. 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 We're going to make sure. We are going to make sure that we remind Congress it's time to keep their promises. On Monday, we're going to tell the President to end the illegal special exemption from Obamacare that Congress and their staff are getting. We are a country of the law, and we need to obey the law, and we expect Congress to obey the law. We expect our laws to be enforced. Otherwise, what is the point in having the law? Our next speaker, on Sunday nights we have webinars from around this country. We have people who get on these webinars every single week. They set the direction for Tea Party Patriots. They determine our major actions. They determine our major issues. You're going to hear from several of them. It's going to be very fast and rapid fire. They are grassroots leaders from across this country. The very first one is another veteran. He's from Pennsylvania. Please welcome Rob Boyson.
Are we fired up yet? Okay, my message is simple. Our enemy is not the Democrats. Our enemy is the progressive Republicans within Congress that are not doing their jobs. We are here to tell them to do the job, or we are going to replace them. And what we need to do is each of us have to work. Each of us have to do our part. I've been a part of the Tea Party Patriots since February of 2009. Believe me, I've been to every rally we've ever had. And what we need to do is to have more involvement. We need to have people like you. For those of you that are local leaders, local coordinators, state coordinators, get on the phone, get on the internet, get on Facebook, get on Twitter. Get your people involved. Now is not the time to go to sleep. We haven't won a thing yet. We are still working on it. And the only way it can get done is by you being involved. We can't just rely on those people, those few people. My group has we have a mailing list of 150 people. I have about 25 to 30 people that come every first Thursday of the month in my group. They are the strength that gives me the strength to do what I do. We need all of you to do what you have to do. We cannot go to sleep. It's that simple. We haven't won anything. Remember that. It's time to drain the swamp. Okay, I thank you very much. Jenny Beth, thank you very much for the opportunity. And to my wonderful fearless leader, Diana Reimer, who got me into this almost 9 years ago, I thank you. Take it easy.
Thank you so much, Rob. Now we have someone who is a local leader. She ran for elected office, and now she is a state rep from the state of Minnesota. Please join me in welcoming Cindy Pugh.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cindy Pugh, and yes, I'm a third-term state representative from Minnesota. I'm just thrilled, absolutely thrilled to be here, and honored to have the opportunity just to share my story. Today is just an incredible day. It was just 8 short years ago that I made my first trip to Washington, D.C. Like many of you, I have a feeling looking around, I responded to Congresswoman Bachmann's, wonderful Congresswoman Bachmann. I responded to her emergency house call. I'd never been in Washington, D.C. before. I saw her on a Friday night on Sean Hannity's show, and she was calling on patriotic Americans to be in D.C. on Thursday at noon for a rally. And I had never been to D.C. before. I did not know Michelle. I do now. And I felt like she was speaking to me. And a couple of days later, it was Monday, and I got an email that there was going to be a bus leaving the Twin Cities. And I sent an email, wanted to be on that bus, and I learned Monday night, about midnight, that the bus was full. And I was so disappointed, sent one final email before I went to bed, and said if there's another bus, I'd like to be on it. Well, Tuesday morning, and my husband's already off to work, he had no idea what I was thinking. I got an email, I paid my money, and I was headed to D.C. I was so excited. I remember the email I sent my husband at work, honey, how would you feel if I went to D.C., ... in the morning? So that is where this all started for me. On that bus, a 24-hour bus ride straight to D.C., I met a World War II veteran, Fremont Gruss, who is now my constituent. And Fremont has taught me most of what I know today and the deep, deep respect I have for our veterans. So another thank you to each and every one of you today who are veterans, who are standing for our freedom. I also met a woman on that bus. I literally sat right next to her, and there were 3 buses. I met a woman that when we returned from the Tea Party, when we returned from D.C., we looked for a Tea Party to join. We looked and couldn't find one. And I remember the day like it was yesterday. We looked at each other and said, if not us, who? And if not now, when? And we quickly launched the Southwest Metro Tea Party. That was in 2010. It was actually on Independence Day. We had veterans, World War II veterans in our float, and we handed out 1,500 pocket constitutions. We met every week for 5 years, and I'll just never look back. Fast forward to 2012 with the census when all of our districts are redistricted, and my phone literally rang off the hook. Cindy, will you run? And I said no. Countless phone calls came, Cindy, you have to run. And I said, no, I don't. And as it turned out, I looked at the 22-year incumbent's record, and I said, yes, I will find somebody to run. When I couldn't find anybody, I remember like it was yesterday saying to my husband, honey, I need to step up. And so this is what happens. Here we are standing in the gap. We are the people who have stood up for our freedom and our liberty. So anyway, I would just say take a look around. Take a look around. Each of us has a sphere of influence. Who do you know? Who do you know that you can inspire to engage in the process? Who do you know who cares passionately about the future for their children and grandchildren? There isn't any one of us here who can do everything, but every single one of us here can do something. And I encourage you to do whatever you possibly can to help save our nation. So God bless you for being here, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you so much, Cindy. I'm so glad you looked in the mirror and said that you would step up and run. That's what we all have to do. We have to step up and take action. Every single one of us can do something. Let Cindy be an inspiration to you. Our next speaker is Mark Hager. He's from North Carolina. Please join me in welcoming another veteran, Mark Hager.
Thanks, Jenny Beth, and thank everyone for being here. And this would make up my 16th time being in D.C. for these events. And like many of you, and like Cindy speaking to back in 2009 when we came up here with our first big rally. And we didn't know how many people we would get. And across North Carolina, we started organizing to get people bussed in, and turned around, we had 10 buses. And what an event it was. And it's you all. How many of you all were here then? We're still at it. And for North Carolina, anyway, and I'm the co-state coordinator, and Dee Parks, my other one, wherever she is around here, worked really hard since 2009. You have to understand, our state was in a budget deficit that everyone was worried about back then. It has started to take its course to becoming blue, but within 2 election cycles, we turned the state back red again. We're having a battle with our governor right now, but we have the House, the Senate, and then I said that's not enough. Let's talk to our coordinators. We need our commissioners. Everyone understands this. All politics is what? It's local. And that's us. That's you and me. When I hear people complain that they want the federal government to do something, and I say, well, what are you doing? What are you doing in your county? Who's going to affect you more, a county commissioner or the president? And from that, our state, by and large, has completely read of county commissioners. And I said, well, that's not enough. We really need to look at our only elected law enforcement, which is what? The sheriff's office. And the sheriffs we started to concentrate on, they've got to get elected. They need a voice, and that became us. And so now across North Carolina, most of our sheriffs are now Republican. And so North Carolina is now more red now than it has ever been. And it's thanks in part to each and every one of you. People ask, well, how can you do something? I said, just start going to your county conventions and start talking to others. Once you bring in enough people, well, then you become the GOP. And it takes work. It takes work from each and every person, and each and every one of you has a job. You can talk to your neighbors. You can talk to your family. Plus, I'm a college professor at a liberal arts university. If I can do that, I'm the only one in my building now, though. That's okay. But in teaching history, it starts with you. Grab a book, read. In the Constitution, you can take your little book out. It's not very much to read. And start versing yourself within it and understanding your freedoms in the First Amendment, Second Amendment. And again, I want to thank all veterans, because those are people that you'll find in every Tea Party group anywhere in America, because they stood once, and we didn't give up on that oath then. We don't give up on that oath now. And so I thank you for coming, and I thank Jenny Beth, and let's make America great again.
Thank you so much, Mark Hager. Next, we have one of our very most active state or local coordinators. He writes letters to the editor. He gives his groups to make phone calls. He hosts house parties. He basically takes these how-to kits and checks off every single item on it. Please join me in welcoming from the Vice President's home state, Bob Hall.
Greetings from Indiana, Mike Pence's home. How about that? I ran for Congress last year, but I didn't win because I ran against a multimillionaire carpetbagger from Tennessee. But anyhow, I ran on freedom. I ran on limited government. I ran on bringing jobs back to the United States. My career was in manufacturing. We've lost 1/3 of our manufacturing jobs to China and Mexico. And we need to lower the corporate tax to 15%. We need to cut the regulations. We need to bring those jobs back to America so young people have a future. Now, we talk about dreamers and the DREAM Act. The DREAM Act failed. The word dreamers is an anomaly. Our true dreamers are young adults who cannot get a job. There's 5 million of them. Those are the true dreamers. I come from a liberal community, Bloomington, Indiana, sometimes referred to as the People's Republic of Bloomington. We've stopped Syrian refugees from coming to town. We've stopped annexation, where they wanted to bring 15,000 people into the city and make them pay more taxes. So we've been very active. But we need to cut the federal budget. We need to stop these continuing resolutions, the omnibus spending bills. We need to bring Congress under control, and all of us need to put pressure on Congress. So I want to thank you for coming out, and we're going to keep up the fight in Indiana. Thank you very much.
He just gave you a list of promises Congress needs to keep. Next, we have a woman who was born on D-Day. Her mother actually said the Americans have arrived before the doctor told her mother the Americans have arrived before they told her that it's a girl. She was born in France. She's lived under fascism. She's lived under socialism, and she's lived under capitalism. She's a Texan. She's a legal immigrant. Please join me in welcoming Suzanne Guggenheim.
Howdy. Howdy from the great state of Texas. 8 years ago, we were already standing here and filling up the mall. I am very glad and very sad to see so many of you who were here 8 years ago still have to be here. I'm glad because it's always good to see some old friends, and it's good to see they are still engaged. I am sad that we still have to be coming back here every single year. Our fight since then has always been the same, and on the same issues. Respect the Constitution. Listen to we the people. Repeal Obamacare. Cut government spending, fraud, and waste. Cut our taxes. Protect our borders. Election cycle after election cycle, the people, the voters, have heard us. but the servants over there of the people have betrayed us. Our representative, we're here to tell them, this is your last chance to keep your promise. We now have in the White House a man, Donald Trump, who has listened to the people. We will fight with him, we will support him to make America great again. And tell them, keep your promises. God bless the United States of America.
Thank you so much, Suzanne Guggenheim. Next, from the great state of Illinois, is Art Haven-Hill, who, Art, are you also another veteran? Okay, so he's not a veteran, but he's one of our local coordinators and our state coordinators from Illinois. Thank you so much, Art, for speaking.
What a great honor and privilege it is to be here speaking on behalf of Tea Party Patriots, especially to so many patriots that are here. We've been asked to keep it short, so I will be very brief. Who likes Trump? Who elected Trump? The people elected Trump, right? Not the Republican Party. He fought them all the way. It was we, the people, that elected Donald Trump. And what I want to point out, oh, and by the way, it is such an honor and a privilege to be here in the swamp versus the cesspool that is Illinois. Anyway, I'm following up on what some others have alluded to, but it is up to us, everyone here, you and you and you and me and everybody else, to talk to other people and make them aware of the fact that there is a requirement, that there is a duty on the part of every American to take part in our political system. The system was designed not for politicians. It was designed for what you could call citizens as legislators. It was designed for us, the everyday people, to stand up and take part in who governs them. Do you agree? When you go home, if you're a member of a group, get more involved. Become more involved in yourself. If you're not a member of a group, form one. We need to grow this movement because we are Americans. Am I right? Let's hear it for America. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, next we have a woman who was fighting against socialized health care and Obamacare back in 2009, and it became very, very personal to her because she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she is a breast cancer survivor. She's been fighting with us since 2009. She is from the great state of California, remember, coast to coast. And Louisa Jaffe just pointed out to me that we've got people, and thank you for doing that, Louisa. We have people who are joining us and watching us on our live stream, literally from every single state today. So thank you to our live stream audience. We really appreciate you being here. We're taking action this week. Be ready to take action. Remember, you can text to 388873, 388873, the word promises. The next speaker is Linda Dorr.
My sign means something, because if Obamacare is not repealed, we still have the death panel. And what that means, because the recommendation from that group is women should not have mammograms until they're 50. My surgeon oncologist told me there are masses of young women now that are getting breast cancer very young. And then at 50, only every other year, and as you age, breast cancer can increase your chances. So I would just like you to know that we have to repeal Obamacare. Hopefully the Graham-Cassidy bill will pass, because your daughters, your moms, your aunts, and all other women you know are at risk with the death panel still there. The only other thing I wanted to tell you, and I'm very passionate about my country, when I came back from a 5-hour surgery, and they were back to my room, my husband heard me say, red, white, and blue, give me a Tea Party flag. And then he said, honey, it's me, it's John. And I said, where's John Adams? Love your country and be passionate about it.
Our Tea Party Patriots and I love you. Thank you so much for loving our country as much as all of us do here today. Our next speaker led the invocation earlier. He's from California. Please join me in welcoming Gregory Britton.
Great to be back. Redlands is about 60 miles east of LA. It's almost in America. Not quite, but it's on the borderline of America. People have talked about the importance of repealing Obamacare and the importance of tax reform, so I'm not going to go over all those things. Dennis Prager asked the question, what is the greatest problem facing our country? Any ideas? His answer was this. We have not taught the next generation of Americans what it means to be an American. So for all of these issues of the day, tax reform, immigration, Obamacare, what this really is what Andrew Breitbart said. We are in a long war for the soul of America, and the left has a 50-year head start on us. My friend, the conservative commentator, said that Donald Trump is the first wartime president of the culture war. And there were so many people that are doing so many good things. I'm going to use Cindy Pugh as an example. At home doing nothing. When the need arose, she stepped up. Because, well, we're fighting back now in the long war for the soul of America. We are still losing that war. You look around here. Yeah, you see an occasional younger face. But most of us here grew up in the time in which we learned our patriotism. We learned our love of country and of God. It was endemic. It was throughout the culture, the education system, the church, at home, the neighbors across the street. You got it everywhere in the entertainment business. And that's gone now. So our challenge leading here is not just Obamacare, not just making them listen to us and do what we want them to do. That's certainly a great challenge. But it is the entire culture of the country. And we are all, everyone, I'm preaching to the choir. Everyone here is engaged. But we who are here and are not here need to raise our game if we're going to win the long war for the soul of America. And that means stepping up. Maybe it means going on the school board, the water board. The left, every opportunity, every avenue, water board, school board, the city council, the state legislature, entertainment, wherever it is, they never miss an opportunity to push their agenda, and we need to be equally committed to the cause of America and of freedom. And I'll just wrap it up with this. It really comes back to a spiritual battle. Blessed is the land whose God is the Lord, and if we forget that, our land will no longer be blessed.
Thank you, Gregory, and thank you for always being on our calls on Sunday night, for doing the hard work in a very, very blue state. Thank you so much. And remember, guys, we have the tools so you can act. You're here today, and we appreciate that, and you understand how to act. There are people who may not want to come to an event, but they're willing to pick up the phone and make a call to Congress. They're willing to pick up the phone and call the White House and tell the president to end the illegal special exemption from Obamacare like we're going to do on Monday. They're willing to write letters and send emails and do tweets and post on social media. We have the tools to help you do that in our how-to guides. Be sure to pick one of these up as you leave today. All right, our last speaker before we wrap everything up was here earlier today. She led the Pledge of Allegiance. Please welcome back to the stage, Barb Hazelden.
Well, I want to start out by saying thank you to Jenny Beth and all the staff at Tea Party Patriots. The work they have done, the perseverance over all of these years, the Sunday night calls, all of the toolkits. I would add also Bill Pasco. Every week I look forward to Bill Pasco's legislative update. These people are remarkable. And with all of us, we are saving the country. And I am just honored to be standing with you once more. I don't know if it's 16, but it's close. And I was here from the beginning. I'm from St. Petersburg, Florida, and I started a Tea Party group in 2009, March of 2009. We have 900 members. And I'm here today representing those 900 members. So I also am representing the entire state of Florida. We have a Tea Party alliance all throughout the state. These are all the same people who have been in it ever since the beginning. So there is a strong, strong movement. Still, they've tried to knock us down. Cloward and Piven, IRS, you name it, they have tried to knock us down. But you know what they didn't count on? They didn't count on the Lord providing a remnant. We are the remnant, pretty much. And any throughout history, throughout the Bible, there is always a remnant of the righteous that are left to try to start over again. Because guess what? This is human nature. We're going to go up, we're going to go down, we're going to go up. And I will say that I have said so many times, thank you, God, for Barack Obama becoming president, because that was a slap in the face that we all needed as it was just going downhill. And if it had been 10 years later than that, we would not have had this movement. Imagine your age plus 10 years when this all started. Over these years, how many people have we lost that have died over these years because of their age? We are true blue Americans, and I just love you all. And I'm just going to leave you with this thought, and that is that my group, we have focused over all of these years on the local government. We have a deep state in our county, and I bet you have a deep state in your county, to the point that our county charter in Pinellas County, Florida, like the 6th word is that they are dedicated to a progressive county. Now that's how bad it is. I am running for county commission. Wish me luck. The election is next year, and you need to run also. God will help you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Barb. Okay, so I have a few announcements before we wrap up. When we're done, I know it's really hot. You guys have been wonderful today. I appreciate everything that you do for our country, and the fact that you come out time after time after time to just melt and sweat with us as we ask Congress to repeal Obamacare, for Pete's sake. If you want to go get some drinks and cool off, we're going to go over to the Hyatt, the lobby in the Hyatt on Capitol Hill. It's like right over there. It's a block and a half away. So if you want to do that afterwards, you're welcome to come hang out with us for a little while. If you are a state coordinator, please come over to this area. We're going to, even though the Hyatt's that way, we're going to end over here. So if you're a state coordinator, go over here. If you're from a state, I don't know which states we've got coordinators from right here. We have coordinators from many of our states. So you're welcome to come over here and see if you can hook up with a state coordinator if you don't know yours already. I want to thank the people from our team, from the Tea Party Patriots support team. We take that term very seriously. We're here to support you, the activists. You're our most important priority. We're working together to achieve our mission and to expand freedom and to help all Americans pursue their American dream. I want to thank those first who are not here. Darcy Crisp helped arrange all of this. She's a new mom, so she isn't here today, but she helped do all of this and make this possible and to organize it, to line up the speakers, and she's worked on this tirelessly, so thank you, Darcy. Also, Chris, Ben, Landon, Bobby, Megan, and then we've got Mike, Willie, and Greg Mueller. We're going to thank Greg Cummings in just a minute, and Travis, and Cleta, who are part of our team, but they are not here today. And then those who are here today, we have Kevin Mooneyhan, we have Cecily, Linda, Diana, Greg Cummings, who spoke, Bill Pasco, Shonda. We also have Travis, Eric, and Willie. Thank you guys so much for helping make this possible for all of our activists. Thank you for everything you do. So if Tea Party Patriots looks good, it's because they do so much work behind the scenes and they so rarely get the thanks that they deserve. So please join me in thanking them for all the work that they do. Hey, and Bill Pasco, I heard some people who want to see your face because they must not watch our Facebook Live and they'll see you on the webinar. So, I don't know, there you are way back there with glasses on. That's Bill Pasco. He does our legislative updates, our Washington reports. He keeps us apprised of what's going on Capitol Hill. Thank you, Bill. All right, we have several different calls to action today from our speakers. Call the White House and task the President to rescind or repeal the illegal congressional exemption for Congress and their staff from Obamacare and the illegal subsidy. Call your senators. Tell them to pass Graham-Cassidy. Tell them to repeal Obamacare. And that even though we're passing Graham-Cassidy, we are still working at Tea Party Patriots for full repeal of Obamacare. We are not giving that up, and they're going to keep hearing from us until it's gone, root and branch, the way Mitch McConnell said. Then, make sure you make special phone calls in to John McCain, who we have a lot of disdain for today. And then I ask you, make sure that you pick up the toolkit. Please make sure you pick up our toolkit for tax reform. We have those over here. You can pick one up, pick up a handful, take them back, take the actions in this. We are working to get tax reform passed by Thanksgiving. Join us in making this a reality. We are launching that effort in full next week. We will be partnering with FreedomWorks and Club for Growth. They are great coalition partners. FreedomWorks had people here today, and we appreciate that very much. And finally, we have to tell all members of Congress, both the House and the Senate, keep your promises. Repeal Obamacare, pass tax reform, pass tax cuts so the economy will grow. Work to balance the budget so we can have a debt-free future. Get our spending under control and secure the border. Build the wall that Donald Trump promised that he would build. Make sure you fund that wall that he promised he would build. Thank you guys so much for being here today. We're all in this together. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you a little bit later at the Hyatt. Thank you, thank you.
Is it good to pop the mic? Hey, the mic muted?